It'll help you make it through the night. Find a song when there is no one to walk by your side. Oh, the right song at the right time will help to pull you through. Yes, the right song at the right time is like sunshine breaking through. Sing a song, it'll make you happy. Right here, right now. A song can bring you faith. It'll bring you hope. It'll bring you you can rise above. If you can find a song, find a song, find a song. If you can find a song, find a song, find a song. If you can find a song and make melody in your heart. Find a song, it'll be your lighthouse, your guiding star. Oh, the right song at the right time will help you through the gloom. Yes, the right song at the right time is like sunshine breaking through. Sing a song, it'll make you happy. Right here, right now. A song can bring you faith. It'll bring you hope. It'll bring you a song can make you see that God is so real, and you can up your schedule that you neglect to call your old friends. You might not hear the telephone ring as often as you like to. It doesn't mean your connections come to an end. Sometimes we can all get wrapped up in our own list of to-dos. Just remember to reach out. You never know what someone is going through. Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. Don't you forget, don't you forget, don't you forget to make a life. Don't you get so swept up. Remember to take time out. Spend some time at the park, enjoy life's gifts. Life is truly precious. Focus on what's right now. Tell everybody what their love has meant. Don't let the years pass without saying how you feel. Sing these words to yourself, and their meanings will all be revealed. Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. Don't you forget, don't you forget, don't you forget to make a life. You might think you have a long time to live. You probably do. You have so much to give. But you gotta take time to appreciate and celebrate the people you love. Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. Don't you forget, don't you forget, don't you forget to make a life. Don't get so busy making a living that you forget us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the
Great morning, and what a glorious morning it is. I'm Reverend Cheryl McCullough, and welcome, welcome. This is your time of transformation, and we are so appreciative that you are worshiping with us this morning. As is our practice, a member of our prayer team is holding us in prayer during the entire service. And we invite you to join them every Wednesday morning at 7:30 a.m. for the prayer call. If you need to have someone prayed for, or you request spiritual counseling, you can do so online or call the office and the appropriate ministry will be notified. Some brief announcements before we get into our service. Divine Connections continues at 3 o'clock p.m. on Wednesdays. This Sunday, immediately after the service, simply get still and have the virtual experience of the energy of Reiki. The Reiki precepts will be posted on the screen after the service. The youth education classes begin again next Sunday. The Faith Factor, a transformative Bible study facilitated by Reverend Beverly Saunders Biddle, continues on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m., and this will go through the end of the month. The class Discerning Your Purpose begins this Tuesday, September 7th through October 5th at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom. This is a spiritual education and enrichment, SEE course. However, it is open for everyone to attend. Your instructor is licensed Unity teacher Sylvia Nzinga Quinton. Our annual World Day of Prayer is this Thursday, September 9th. All is well with my soul is the theme. And the prayer ministry has planned a full day of activities for you, beginning with a virtual prayer vigil at 6 o'clock a.m. through 12 noon. Affirmations and a meditation recited from areas of our church home will follow. Then prayers from various spiritual communities from around the world. An interactive workshop on developing and refining affirmations to support and ignite your divine creativity will follow that, and it will be facilitated by lay leader Patricia Williams. And then you are invited to move to the sounds of live inspirational music with lay leader James Watkins. And finally, culminating in a wonderful service that Thursday evening with worship leader and lay leader Greg Brunette and our wonderful lay leader Reverend Hannah Martin will be the speaker. Tomorrow is the Labor Day holiday, and the church office will be closed. Again, a general reminder, read the emails that we send out to you during the week, or check out our website at unityofwashingtondc.org to obtain additional information about classes and how to give online. Now, the introduction of our speaker, who really needs no introduction as she is one of our own, Reverend Beverly Saunders Biddle. Affectionately known as Rev Bev, just be patient with me while I introduce her to those who may not know her. Reverend Beverly has been a faithful member of our church family since 1988. She has served in many capacities as a former president of our Board of Trustees, on staff as Director of Spiritual Programs. She currently serves as a co-coordinator of our Lay Leaders Ministry program. As a member also of our Adult Education Committee, she's on the Pastoral Care Team. She teaches workshops. She's a Bible study facilitator and a long-standing member of our wonderful choir, which I miss. Rev Bev holds a Master of Health Administration degree from the Medical College of Virginia. Following over 20 years in healthcare management, she answered the call to ministry and was ordained as a minister of spiritual consciousness and certified as a spiritual life coach in 2003. As a gifted coach, writer, speaker, and facilitator, she works to effect healing and transformation. Rev Bev loves God and loves to serve with a grateful and joy-filled heart. Her message today is titled, Time to Rise Up. And boy, am I waiting to hear what that's about. So let's welcome Reverend Beverly Saunders Biddle.
Good morning, Unity family. First, I always give thanks to God for life and breath, and I give thanks to Reverend Sylvia for this opportunity to be here today with our Unity family. And Reverend Sylvia, know that I continue to pray for you and for Mother Maurice for healing. The message this morning is time to rise up. It's an amazing thing when we know why we're here, when we know what we've been called here to do and to be. One thing I know is that I've been called to bring enlightenment. As a minister and a spiritual life coach, and as a teacher of universal law and spiritual principles, I've been prepared to dismantle the myths that we've accepted for most of our lives, to dispel the untruths that we've been told and taught to believe. So in doing so this morning, I'm going to ask you to just go on a journey with me, a journey inside yourself, a journey into your heart and into your own mind. I'm going to ask you to answer some questions just for yourself. What is your vision for your life? Do you know? Do you have one? Do you have a mental picture of a desired future that fuels you, that energizes you, that motivates you and inspires you? One that pulls you forward in the face of any obstacle or any challenge? If not, I've been called to tell you that you can rest in the assurance that comes from knowing that God does. God has a vision for your life that is far greater and far beyond anything you could possibly think, dream, or imagine. And this is your time to rise up to all that God has called you to do and all that you've been called here to be. So often we just go through life trudging along day by day, not necessarily moving in any clear direction. We just do what we've got to do to pay the bills. We do what we have to do to make sure that we have a roof over our head and clothes on our back and food on the table. And when we've achieved some measure of worldly success, we drive a nice car, eat at the best restaurants, and travel to the beautiful places in the world. Then we really think we've made it. Yes, we've made it all right. That's why whenever anyone asks how we're doing, we say, "Oh, I'm making it." What we're really saying is that we're just making it through, just getting through each day, just getting through life on a wing and a prayer, just making it to the next day, to the next job, the next event, the next relationship, the next anything that keeps us from paying attention to what really matters. Many of us, and perhaps most of us, are living lives that are void of passion, void of motivation, and void of true inspiration. Let me be clear. We're living lives that are void of passion, void of zeal, void of enthusiasm, void of that intense emotional drive that will propel us into action towards something greater than ourselves. We're living lives that are absent of inspiration, lives that are missing that connection to the indwelling Spirit of God, that connection to divine breath, to the inflowing of divine ideas. We're living our lives under the power of our own steam, under the force of our own will, our own ego. We're making choices and decisions on the basis of what we think we know, what we've been made to believe, what other people have told us about ourselves, about the world around us, about God, most of which was not the truth. And that's the truth with the capital T, that truth that is eternal, that truth that is never changing. I don't mean that truth that is personal or that changes depending on which way the wind is blowing or who we are trying to impress. We make choices and decisions on the basis of stuff that was not inspired by an inner knowing of the true essence and the true nature of God and the true essence and true nature of who we really are as spiritual beings in this oft-times troubling human existence. So do you know what inspires you? Do you know what motivates you? What activates you? And what gets you moving, pushing you to take committed action toward your heart's desires? Many of us are going through life without a clue. We have not stopped to go within to address any of this. We have never even been asked, never been encouraged to stop and think about such things, or to open ourselves to the presence and power of God long enough for the answers to be revealed. Or we've just been too busy dealing with the trials of everyday life to stop and take the time. Well, this is the time. This is the moment. I have a reverend sister who always says any moment can be the moment. This is it. We only have this now moment. Please know that this is not an indictment. It's a call to rise. It's a call to open to the divine possibility that our lives could be different, the possibility that our world could be different. It's a call to rise above what is going on for us in our little lives as we have constructed them, and to open ourselves to what God or Spirit or universal mind has in store for us. It's a call to consider that God has a vision for our lives, and all we need to do is open ourselves to receive it and allow it to unfold in its perfection and in its fullness. Having a vision is certainly not a foreign concept to any of us. Whenever we encounter an organization and desire to learn more about it, particularly if we are planning to support it financially or to check out its services, we often look at the organization's mission and vision statements. We want to know what that organization is about and what it intends as the ultimate outcomes of its work. How will individuals, families, communities, or the world be different? How will they be better off because this organization exists and because it does what it does? We want to know what the organization is up to, what it's committed to, what its focus is, and what really matters to it and its people. The organization's mission statement tells us what ideal picture of the world is held in the minds of its board and staff, what image guides them in what they do on a daily basis. This ideal scene, as it were, is the dream that they share and carries them through the trials of daily business operations with all of its challenges and opportunities. We've heard about corporate or organizational visions, often brought forward by a charismatic visionary leader who rallied people around that vision and propelled them to accomplish extraordinary things. Just think about some of those visionary leaders: Bill Gates, John H. Johnson, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Jeff Bezos, and the list goes on and on. Or, if not in business or entertainment, what about in the arena of politics and world affairs? Certainly Dr. Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, and Nelson Mandela were men of vision. They could see a world that was far different from the world in which they lived. And they knew that in sharing that vision, they could inspire people to capture it and work toward it so that it could become a reality. They had a vision. They had a preferred future that they saw, a dream of a desired outcome, a dream of something better, something greater. They allowed themselves to be inspired, to grab hold of a divine idea and allow that idea, that vision, to carry them, carry others, and carry the world forward. They held this idea, this picture of how things could be in their hearts and in their minds, and allowed it to be the grand force that moved them and others into committed action designed to bring that vision into manifestation, into tangible reality. They knew that if they allowed the vision to resonate within them, if they gave energy to it, they could make a significant difference in the world around them. Well, what about us? How many of us have had this as a personal experience? How many of us have opened ourselves to a vision of how our lives or our world could be and allowed ourselves to be propelled into committed action by the sheer power of that vision? How many of us have opened ourselves to divine revelation of what God has in store for us or what God has in store for our world through us? It's written in the book of Proverbs, in the Hebrew scriptures of our Holy Bible, where there is no vision, no redemptive revelation of God, the people perish. Throughout the Bible, there were many instances in which people were at risk and facing some peril. In many instances, God selected men and women to whom he gave a divine revelation that brought redemption for the people. We are informed, inspired, uplifted, and transformed by the examples provided for us of these men and women for whom God had a vision far beyond the vision they held for themselves. For example, God's vision for Abram was that he would become Abraham, the father of a great nation of people of faith. He actually became the father of 3 great faith traditions. God's vision for Moses was for him to lead the people of Israel out of bondage. And for Joshua, that he would lead the people of Israel into the promised land. God held a vision for Solomon that he would complete the building of the temple in Jerusalem. For Nehemiah, that he would rebuild the Jerusalem wall. For Esther, to save the Jewish people from death at the hands of Haman. For Mary, that she would be the vessel through which Jesus would be birthed. And, of course, for Jesus of Nazareth, that he would be the way shower, who would provide a living example of how we are to love God and to love each other as ourselves, and provide a demonstration of the power of life over death. They all eventually yielded to what God had in mind for them and for their lives. God is bigger and greater and more awesome than anything we can think with our little human minds. And God's vision was and is always exceedingly more than what we can see through our limited perspective. Our challenge remains that we attempt to understand the infinite, the unlimited nature of God with a mind that is limited and finite. Whatever we hold in our minds, God's mind is more expansive. Whenever we see a possibility for ourselves, God's mind holds something even more perfect, more amazing, and more extraordinary. Whatever we can see as a vision for our lives, God, in his or her outrageous abundance, says, "Is that all?" It's as if we go to God with a thimble. We go begging and pleading before the source and supply of the entire universe. And God says, "Is that all that you desire from me? When I have offered you an inexhaustible supply of anything you could possibly imagine, is that the best that you can do?" It's as if we forget who God is. It's as if we forget that in God, all things are possible. The Bible gives us a myriad of examples of people who God called to a higher purpose. And for the most part, they did not see themselves worthy of the purpose for which they were called. They were probably like many of us who heard God's call and did not even feel that they were good enough to answer. You know, we hear that many are called, but few are chosen. I think it's really that many are called, but few choose to answer. We've all been called here for a divine purpose as part of God's divine plan. Yet most of us are unaware of what that purpose is. And we have perhaps been so battered and bruised by our own life experiences that we dare not even consider anything beyond what we are seeing for ourselves in a particular moment. Instead, we choose to play small. Even those of us who have had a measure of success, there's so much more that we are in the mind of God. Rather than operating or opening ourselves to an unlimited possibilities that God holds for us, we keep trying to fit that square peg into the round hole, an experience that results from being out of alignment with the purpose for which we've been called here. We each have a sacred contract that was forged between our soul and the Creator before the beginning of time. Our dilemma is that along the way, we have forgotten what that contract is. We have forgotten who we are in spirit, and we've forgotten our purpose. I know that for years I was unsure of who I was. I was one of those people trying to use my will to fit the round peg into the square hole, and not understanding why it didn't really fit. For over 25 years in healthcare, I worked in healthcare planning, management, and advocacy on behalf of underserved populations. While it may have appeared that I was successful in those arenas, it was not without much effort and angst on my part. That's what we experience when we are not doing what God has called us here to do. Of course, I was doing some good work, and many benefits came out of my contributions. Yet I continually had the sense that there was something else that I was supposed to be doing. There was this internal unsettledness that was underlying everything I was doing. And I found myself being pulled in different directions, searching for an answer. I was just one of those people, trudging along day by day without any real vision for my life. I was operating in accordance with my own will, not God's will. It was not until I opened myself to the revelation of God's plan that my life had changed. And it was not until I fully surrendered myself to God's plan that I arrived at a place of peace and harmony and joy. First surrendering who I thought I was. I had worked to earn a master's degree and had established a national reputation in certain healthcare arenas. That was my work in a profession and an occupation. My real work, my soul's work, was to rise above my attachment to who I thought I was in these communities. I had to rise above my own ego. Then, surrendering my doubts and fears, I had to rise above my own self-judgments and sense of unworthiness. Upon opening to who God had called me to be, I argued with God and ran down all the reasons why I was not the one. Just as Moses listed his limitations to God, I tried to convince God that I was not worthy enough to answer the call. It was then that I understood why people often say your arms are too short to box with God. My being here today is evidence of who won that fight. We are all like Moses. We all have an image of who we think we are, and we all have a laundry list of things that we think make us unworthy to answer the call that God has for our lives. There is this common misconception that the only ones called are ordained ministers. Well, we are all called for a purpose. We are all ministers when we remember that to minister is to serve and to attend to needs. The world is greatly in need of our service and is in need of the gifts that we each have been brought here to share and to contribute. Several years ago, I was truly inspired by a presentation by Malidoma Patrice Somé, a shaman from the Dagara people of Burkina Faso. He shared his people's understanding of the universe. They believe we are all on a journey of remembering and walking in a rhythm of remembrance. We are all here to remember the choices that we made before we got here, the choices and agreements to fulfill a particular purpose. We are walking elegantly in a purpose that was decided before we came into this existence. Before we came, we were each given a cadre of gifts that we are to give to the world. And there is a council of ancestors who are watching how we live our purpose and how we give those gifts, how we contribute them to the world. He said that our gifts and our purpose are waiting to be fulfilled. One thing he said really had a profound impact for me. He said, on the journey to our greatness, to go forward, you will die, and to go backward, you will die. So hell, go forward. And those were his words. He said hell. Meaning that we should overcome our fear and our resistance and step into the greatness for which we have each been called. Our job is to say yes. We are here to say yes to God, yes to our purpose, yes to our gifts, yes to the ancestors, yes to the divine plan that is in place for our lives. Do you know what contract and agreement your soul made before you came here? Do you know what gifts you are to share with the world? Do you know the divine plan and purpose for your life? If not, are you willing to open enough for it to be revealed? One of the things that I say to my coaching clients is that we have all the answers we need inside of us. The key is to ask the appropriate questions and then to be open and available to receive the answers. Spirit will provide. Remember, Jesus said to ask, and it shall be given unto you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door shall be open. So this is our wake-up call. It's time to rise and shine. It's time for us to rise up to remember who and whose we are. It's time for us to embrace all of who we are and to open ourselves up so that we can acknowledge the spiritual gifts that each of us have been given. It's time for us to rise up in consciousness. Time to examine what we've been thinking, believing, and feeling about ourselves. It's time to rise above the things we've bought into, believed about who we can't be, what we can't do, what we can never have or achieve. It's time to dare to believe that we matter. It's time to dare to believe that we are good enough. It's time to dare to believe that God's love for us transcends all the stuff that people believe about us and we've believed about ourselves. It's time to rise above all those things that we've believed that are not the truth of who we are. It's time to rise up in our hearts and minds above the judgments that we face on a daily basis. It's time to rise up and know that God knows what God is doing, and to know that God created us just as we are, and God loves us just as we are. It's time. It's time to rise above our worries and concerns and our petty complaints and grievances, to embrace the greatness of the vision that God holds for us. It's time to rise up above the illusion and delusion that we are separate from God and that we are separate from each other. We are being called as individuals, as a community, as a people. Look around. The world needs us. The world needs what we have to contribute. The world is waiting for us. It's our time to rise up. Rise up to all that you were created to be, all that we all have been created to be, and give thanks to this divine experience that we call life. Baruch Bashan, the blessings already are. So, beloved ones, I invite you now to just go within. Let us acknowledge that one source that one presence, that one power that we call God. So I invite you to take a nice deep breath, a deep cleansing breath, and let it out. And take another. And just notice your breath. Notice that it is a divine gift from God, something that is so freely given. Breathing in and out. Just rest in your own natural rhythm of breathing. In and out. And this is our opportunity to go into that secret place of the Most High. A place where there are no distractions. A place where there is no one but we and thee. A place where we can just listen and be still. So in this place, we know that God is always knocking at the door of our consciousness. God is always wanting to get our undivided attention. Because there is always a message from Spirit, always something to uplift us, always some message that we need to hear, to lead us, push us, move us, pull us closer and closer to our highest good. And in this place, this is where God shares the vision that God has for us. That vision that we don't often hear because we are so busy living life. This is the time when it can be revealed why we're here, what we are to be up to, what gifts we are to share, what talents we have. It's also a time that it may be revealed what we need to release, what may be standing in our way, or better yet, standing in God's way of us doing what God would have us do, of us being who God called us here to be. So let us breathe and make ourselves available to hear. What is God saying? What is it that we need to know? Listen. Just listen. And any thought that comes up that is troubling or has to do with busyness, just let it go. Just let it pass on through and continue to focus on our breath and listen. Listen to Spirit. and we surrender. We surrender any doubt, any fear, any judgment about what we're hearing, knowing that it is indeed for our highest good. That God's will for us is only good. So let us just breathe. And in our own way, let us give thanks and be prepared to rise up to all that God has already set aside for us. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen and amen.
In the Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. In the Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. Before I'd stay in the hill one day, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. I'll sing and pray myself away. My soul's been anchored in the Lord. Oh Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. Oh Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. I'm gonna pray and never stop. My soul's been anchored in the Lord until I reach the mountain top. My soul's been anchored in the Lord. Oh Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. Oh Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. In the Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. In the Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. God knows my soul's been anchored in the Lord.
Thank you, beloved Rev Bev. That was a wonderful, powerful, and insightful message this morning. And again, thank all of you for being with us this morning. And now's the time that we prepare to bless our offering. And as always, I asked you to put your hands together and visualize the abundance that is yours, knowing that your contribution blesses not only this ministry, but all those that we serve. We thank you for the generosity in your giving. And as you affirm our offertory blessing, just think of the wonderful things that come to you in expected and unexpected ways. So affirm with me now. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I receive in joy and give with love. You can see the various giving platforms on the screen at the end of the service, and check out our website or call the office during the week if you miss this information, and our staff will be happy to assist you. Our affirmation for the week, and thank you for this, Rev Bev, it is wonderful. I open myself to the divine possibilities that are inherent in who God has called me to be. I rise up to embrace and stand in the power of all that I am in spirit. All doubts, fears, and attachments to playing small are washed away. Oh, that's wonderful. So reflect on that this week and continue to stay healthy, holy, and safe. Join in at home as we end with our closing songs. And may God's grace and peace be with you. And remember, you can join us for Reiki virtually at the end of the service. And so it is.